Well, we did the same
So
thing.
what do you have on Friday?
Yesterday, we did that in June. And
Oh, here we
they
go.
required a few more things we found in the last
Well,
time.
No, you don't have to pay it, we just, it's.
So,
Well, it's $5.
For those that want you.
they take care of a lot of things.
Right.
I don't know if it was on Fox News or what, maybe it might have been Mark Levin. Maybe it was, and he was interviewing. He was interviewing the Secretary of State or the governor or somebody from Tennessee. Got some more swallows.
Yeah, so we,
No problems.
Oh. Now we got.
No reverse required.
You probably have some at the office too. You probably have some at the office also.
Yes.
39, as long as you're 39, you're not getting over.
Okay.
But the
I have exactly 1 minute left to be on that.
Some warm up back before Thanksgiving.
You're good for all saying that some.
But you still celebrate
words and what have you.
Exactly.
And I remember when O'Reilly was still on Fox News, he had,
Ooh, that's hot.
yeah.
Oh, I always
He
put
had,
something like that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It'll cool faster.
Anyway, he went.
I'd rather bake it's too hot.
Water, that's what it is. And went out, and he just talked to black folks, you know. And what do you think about having a requirement to have voter ID?
Yes, it is.
Every one of them.
It's what we call multi-blend.
We don't do that.
What's the ID right here?
No, we don't know what it is. All right. Tom, your scrambles are ready.
Are you done? Yeah.
Good.
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was time for Tom work.
Thank you so much.
You have any sugar?
Oh, yeah, it's over there.
It does work this one.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Okay, good.
Here you go, sunny side.
No, scrambled, yeah.
Yeah, they were all.
How's that look?
Looks great.
Well, that's a tough business right now.
It sure is.
Right there.
Perfect. Thank you,
Perfect.
sir. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking Mark Levin, but he can.
There you go.
The house right across the street from me.
He's super conservative.
Hadn't seen today. Forever. And then suddenly they come in and started fixing the whole thing up and painting it and get it ready.
I don't think so, it is, but he's still very.
This is an early lunch for you.
I think you're really well, you said that.
He's on KFMB radio in the evening. He's usually good.
You know that when you go first practice, I would
Usually don't eat till like 4.
4?
Yeah.
So
My breakfast is kind of like my favorite meal of the day. So like when I eat breakfast, like I barely eat breakfast, but like I'm super excited. It's like a great little breakfast.
How often do you eat?
Like twice a day. So I get foiled and then I have like protein.
you know about that? The guy running it's on. But Carson's got the verdict on it.
Hurry up, it's getting cold.
No, I'm right on time.
I talked to the guy who got
Thanks for the breakfast, Floyd. This is amazing. I was just saying, I usually don't eat till like.
I'm sorry?
I usually don't eat till 4 o'clock.
Oh, really?
And breakfast is still my favorite meal of the day.
Me too.
But I never get to eat it. Right? So
Well,
like this is a real
you-
treat.
You can eat it at 4 o'clock. There's nothing
That's true.
against
That's
you.
true. That's true. I've done that. I had breakfast in the middle of the night at 12 when you Denny's.
Huh?
I said that would be in about.
Here in my career, he was right there, Raven yelling. Sometimes I get tired of it.
Good, huh?
He doesn't want to get yeah. Oh, he's there.
It was a little bit too hot.
Little powder stick from the sausage.
Yeah, I got a hot one.
Okay.
But they were somewhat more hot and some were not.
much on TV as he does in radio. I mean, the radio.
So what do you guys do every Tuesday? So Tom told me a little bit, but always good to hear from.
Well, first of all, we have a good time.
I use fun and have a nice time. And then,
Where's your accent from?
What do you think?
we do things that are all kinds of things. We talk about family and marriage, and politics, and business, and anything that fits our friends.
Whoever's running against him, I guess.
Life is not about one thing, it's about everything.
It's true. It's very complex.
That's right. But they shoot a set, in a tank.
So what do you think, Evan?
I have no idea. Not from
Where is
Southern
he from? Where is
California.
he from?
Oh, it's coming this afternoon. The rain?
I asked
No,
him.
where?
Oh,
Where I'm from, I have an accent.
good.
Oh, you haven't heard it yet?
You didn't.
And then when we clean up, we use the plastic to make stuffed animals out of it. So it's kind of like circular thing.
Well, I heard on TV that we're no longer going to be drilling for plastic. Joe Biden said we're not going to drill for plastic.
Good morning, everybody. Here we are.
Please say that.
And we're going to get started here. I have a clip. Everybody knows Mark Levin, right? And Mark comes up on Sunday night. He comes up with an hour-long show, and they call him
The great one.
the great one, Mark Levin. But Mark does a great commentary every Sunday night on what's going on in America, what's happening with the Republican Party, what's happening with the Democratic Party, what's happening with the No Party. That means people that don't know what the heck's going on. And but he does a really, really good job. And so I took this clip last week, and I took this part off, and I want you to listen to it. If you didn't see it, I want you to listen to it, and you'll get a kind of an idea of how people process information. And then secondly, you'll figure out how, how people run their Christian lives. They do the same thing. They take what they want, and then they separate that doesn't allow them to get what they want, and then they change their attitude, and they change how they think to develop a narrative, a psychological narrative to get what they want. And so I want you to listen to this, and then after you listen to it, then I'm going to show you one more time Stan Kaplan, who's running for office. And I'm going to tell you what I did with Stan, and after we see that, because Eric and I, we put this together. And after that, then I'm going to talk to you for about 10 minutes, and then we're done. All right? So let's take a listen.
Hello, America. Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin. We have three great guests tonight. Senator Tom Cotton and Marco Rubio and Mike Lee, both of whom are up for re-election. And as I told you the other week, we've changed our format up until the election. We'll return to our old format afterwards, but we're still doing our long-form interviews. But before we get to our guests, I want to make my statement here. What is this election about? I've been thinking of ways to show this and to discuss it that haven't been raised before. This country is not divided because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not even president of the United States right now. Donald Trump doesn't hold public office right now. It's not divided because of him. It's not divided because we are a white supremacist society, because we clearly are not. It's not divided because the right-wingers tried to overthrow the government on January 6th. Clearly that's a lie. Why are we divided? Let's see why we're divided. What do the Democrats stand for and what do they oppose? Let's see if we can do this in a way that they can even understand over at the New York Times. The nuclear family. They were the nuclear family. This transgender, I don't know what it is, movement, the attack on women in Title IX, the attack on men, the attack on the family, that parents should have any role in the raising of their children. They reject the nuclear family. We support it and we defend it. What else? The Constitution of the United States. How many times have you heard it's an old document? It ought to be trashed. It was written by white slave owners. We've got to have the ability to do what we need to do, and so forth and so on. And they attack separation of powers and checks and balances. They attack the Bill of Rights, for crying out loud. The First Amendment, a free press, the freedom of association, the free exercise of religion, the right to bear arms, due process only for Democrats, warrants. We see how they work with that and try and get around it. Also, the 10th Amendment, federal, all that's so quaint, but they don't believe in it. The Constitution, we believe in it. They do not. Even before the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, our founding document, which states what really is the basis for Western civilization: unalienable, God-given rights, natural law, natural rights. That's right. And they fought a magnificent revolution so that we could live freely in this country. While they attack the Declaration of Independence, they say we fought a revolution to enshrine slavery, which is absolute insanity. We support the Declaration of Independence. The Democrat Party today does not. The Supreme Court of the United States is under relentless attack by the Department of Justice for refusing to defend it under Merrick Garland, by the Speaker of that House, Nancy Pelosi, who's constantly trashing it, Chuck Schumer, who threatens Supreme Court justices, Hillary Clinton, that calls it a right-wing court making right-wing decisions, and of course, they want to hack the court so they get what they want. Stalin believed in that, as did FDR. So they don't believe in the independence of the Supreme Court, the only court that is established, actually, by the Constitution of the United States. We do. They do not. It's important to remember these things, folks. What else do they want to get rid of? American history. The country was actually started not in 1776 with the revolution, but 1619. Who says? The New York Times and its reprobates. So forget about these conventions. Forget about the Second Continental Congress. Forget about the Constitutional Convention. We believe in them. They do not. George Washington, one of the greatest statesmen to ever live, they dismiss him as a white slave owner. We embrace him for what he did for the country. Thomas Jefferson, the initial author of the Declaration of Independence, who was actually the third president of the United States, was crucially important in the founding of this nation. They've destroyed his home at Monticello. They've destroyed it. We recognize the great things that Thomas Jefferson did. They degrade him and dismantle everything he's created. James Madison, considered the father of the Constitution, his home is being destroyed with propaganda now. James Madison is to be dismissed. To be dismissed. We think what James Madison and his fellow Constitution writers created is the greatest governing document on the face of the earth. They do not. So James Madison has to go. Even Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator, the man who led this country in a civil war to keep the country together and to eliminate slavery, has been denounced by the Democrat Party and its radical elements. We support Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president. They do not. Critical race theory rejects a colorblind society, rejects unalienable rights for the individual, that each person should be viewed by the character of the content, not the color of their skin. They dismiss Martin Luther King. We support and agree with Martin Luther King. The Democrat Party does not. What else? The blue line in this country that ensures that we are a civil society, that protects us, that from marauders in the street who would kill us, who would rape, who would steal, who would burgle. We support the police in this country. They do not in the Democrat Party, the United States military. We can't get our recruitment up. Why? Because they've turned it into a woke experiment. They're undermining our ability to defend ourselves. And they are underfunding the military. We support the military. They do not. What about the classroom? What's going on in our classrooms? Feeding disgusting pornography to our children in our libraries? In our library, it's so disgusting that parents can't even read it in front of school boards. Critical race theory, trying to turn our children into racists in their support and patriotism for America. We have transitioning courses. We have all kinds of things going on that are perverse in our classrooms with our kids. And most of all, we're told, parents, you butt out. We, the educational bureaucrats, we, the Democratic Party unions, we will take care of your children. And what's happened? Scores have dropped like lead balloons. They are destroying our kids in our classroom. We support the classroom. They use it as an indoctrination mill. What else? They spend like drunken Marxists over there on the Democrat side. All the spending, $10 trillion so far, including the budget. And they said they didn't get everything they wanted. Build Back Better was only a little piece of the action. They've driven down the value of the dollar. They've driven down the value of Social Security checks and pension checks. They're destroying your IRAs and your 401ks. The stock market's dropping. It's dropping dead. Look at gas prices. Through the roof. Through the roof. They have sabotaged energy independence. We support sound money. We do not want to support this kind of profligate debt and spending. But they do. We support the dollar. They don't. Next. Energy independence. God gave us resources right under our feet. And capitalism gave us the technology. And the American system gave us red blood Americans who know how to produce and create like no other people on the face of the earth. 2 years ago, we were energy independent. 2 years ago, we were exporting fossil fuels. Now we're on our backs, begging the Saudis who say no, begging the Venezuelans who are saying no and more, having to complain about we can't get oil from Russia. We never got oil from Russia or Ukraine. We never got it from Ukraine. Hollowing out our own industry. Fossil fuels are the center of everything. Whether it's growing food, whether it is producing products, whether it is transporting, it is the gold, the liquid gold that we need to be a prosperous and free people. We support it. They have destroyed it. What else? They're killing our manufacturing in America, in part due to fossil fuels, but the price of all goods are going up. You've hollowed out our economy, you've weakened the dollar, you've put your foot on the throat of our energy industry, so what happens? Hardworking men and women on the assembly lines, that's what happens. Their jobs are at risk, and sometimes they just fire them, like with the XL Keystone Pipeline. Working Americans, union or non-union, we support them. The Democrat Party does not. Our farmers, they warned us. There's going to be food shortages. Why? Because fertilizer comes from oil. Because they need tractors. They have to harvest the food. They planted 20% less than they did last year. Not because they want to, because they had to. So we're going to have food shortages, food price increases that have already started. We were a net food exporter. We exported wheat. We exported soybeans. We exported corn. Now we're hand in hand again. We support American agriculture, the vitality of the farmer. The Democrat Party has destroyed it and is destroying it. What else? That's the United States of America. It's a big globe out there. There's over 190 countries. There's almost 8 billion people on the face of the earth. See this? See the outline? Those are American borders. This is American sovereignty. No nation can have a massive welfare state and an open border. Milton Friedman said that half a century ago, and he was right. We're being overrun with foreigners. That doesn't mean we're not humane because we think we ought to have a secure border. It means we believe in survival. Survival of the citizens of the United States. We have fentanyl coming across the border, killing tens of thousands of young Americans. We have drug cartels expanding their bases throughout the United States and pushing drugs on our young people. We have all kinds of sex slavery going on the southern border and rape. The abuse of children going on in the southern border. It is horrendous. No society can survive this way, which is why no society is doing what we do on its border. Not one. Not one. We believe in a secure border, and we believe in our immigration laws. The Democrat Party does not. Open borders, open season on America. And most of all, we believe in the United States of America. We believe in our history. We believe in our founding. We believe in our institutions. We believe in the ability to become more perfect, to modify what's been within the structure of our constitutional system. We believe the American people are the greatest people on the face of the earth because we've created and established the greatest country on the face of the earth. The Democrat Party does not believe that. The Democrat Party believes America is too good, too big, too powerful, and they are destroying us from within. They don't even like the American flag. We do. Many of us have relatives who went to war carrying that flag. Now, it should be pretty clear by now what this election is all about. Every one of their candidates is a radical. Every single one, even the ones who pretend not to be. Fetterman in Pennsylvania, Warnock in Georgia, Beasley in North Carolina, Kelly, the phony moderate in Arizona, radical. Ryan, the phony moderate in Ohio, radical. Hassan in New Hampshire, radical. Murray in Washington State, radical. Demings in Florida, radical. McMullen, phony, Democrat is what he is, radical. And Lisa Murkowski, she dresses like a Republican. She's a radical too. I'll be right back.
What do you think of that?
Excellent.
So that, I think that deserves a clap, okay?
So,
All right. I'm sitting back there thinking, we have 12 people here. And 12 different ideas, 12 different ways of thinking. We have a gentleman here that comes in. What is your name again?
Malta, like the island.
I'm sorry?
Malta.
Malta, like the island.
Molson.
Malta.
Molten. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And he's with my buddy Tom. Tom came over.
From
And-
Malta.
Huh?
I came over from Malta.
He came over from, yeah. I'm telling you, I got these new hearing aids. I'm not kidding you. I hear words, but they don't register. Anybody ever, have you ever had that kind of trouble?
They still do, with or without them.
I hear what you say, but it doesn't seem to register. I apologize for that. But anyway, so I'm standing back there and I'm thinking, here's a guy who's giving you every single reason why the Democratic Party is where they are in our country today. We have a left-wing, socialist, liberal thinking government right now. We have a president who can't even figure out how to get off a stage. And we have a president who just said yesterday to the individual people, no more drilling. We're just going to have windmills. Okay? You ever hear that stuff? So the guy is absolutely out of his mind. I don't mind electric cars. I think electric cars are a great idea. You know, I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to support the oil industry, and I'm going to support that got us to where we are right now. If you were to take in America and put electric cars in the hands of every single person, we would have massive, massive chaos. It would be a total destruction of the format that built this country. And you're not going to be able to supply the batteries. And then what happens with those millions and hundreds of millions of batteries when everything goes wrong, when they're done? So we've got some serious problems. Nothing wrong with those. And I think someday we might even have cars that just fly. I told Helen, one day we'll have a car. You'll just get in it and it'll just levitate itself and it'll just rise up and it'll go, you tell it where to go and it'll go there, right? Of course, I just don't want to be in front of it when it runs over people. So anyway, folks, listen, we got some serious problems. And the only way we're going to correct those problems, and I remember Duncan talking to me, I don't know, 18 years ago. He said, no, the only way you're going to correct those problems is you're going to have to elect people up there that'll go up there and do the job. I went, well, then why don't you do your job? We're out on the golf course. You're a United States congressman, Duncan. He don't pay me, I pay him. I'm the guy that gave him thousands and thousands of dollars and you got nothing done. You didn't do anything. You fly under the umbrella. You allow the Democratic Party to come in and literally secretly take over the country. But it's not the Democratic Party that's doing this. And it's not the Republican Party, which half of them are Democrats, okay? It's not the Republican Party. What it is there's I remember about 40 years ago, a friend of mine got involved in an organization that was a multi-trillion-dollar run company, moving merchandise and stock. And I went, you gotta be kidding. There's a group of people that are above the president, that are above that run this world. This virus that came out, why didn't the virus just come out in your area, Tom? No, it didn't come out just in your area. Where did it come out?
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
Instantly.
How in the world can a virus come out worldwide? And yet it comes out worldwide, and it's all about control. It's all about power. It's all about controlling people. And so we do have some problems, and the only way we're going to clean it up is put qualified people. I told a guy the other day, I said, if the individual people in this country would live under biblical laws, God's laws. And there's only 10 of them that he gave us in the 10 commandments. If we would structure the things in our life based on God's word, the 10 commandments, and then formulate them into our lives and do what God says, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. And then if we were to get ourselves in a position to where really truly we put people in office who go back and do what they said they were going to do. That's all. You don't have to go back and be a hero. You don't have to go back and have them tell you, now listen, you shut your mouth and you get over there and do what you told her, or the next time we're going to come out with so many stories on you that you're never going to be able to live them down. You remember when Schumer said that? Schumer said it. He said, if we don't like you, we'll come out with enough stories on you and we'll destroy you, and if we don't find it, we'll make up something.
Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
You understand? So they will do whatever it takes, and they have. When Trump came down those stairs and said, I'm running for president, he came down, in all honesty, I believe God was a part of all of that, and I prayed about it. He came down as Donald Trump. But once he got elected, he realized what was going on, and he made this comment. I never realized that the depth of corruption was so deep in our government, was so deep. And they took him on. But they didn't understand one thing about this man. His life has been lived in that kind of environment. He understands it. God selected him, and from that moment on, even right now, they hate him. They want to destroy him. They want to destroy anyone connected to him. Even people that were in his office, they're going in, putting handcuffs on them, taking them out. Why? Because you didn't pay taxes on that government card that you were loaned. You were supposed to pay taxes on that. And it was free. You understand? They will do whatever it takes as long as they're in power. So we got to get them out of power. That's what I'm here today to talk to you about. So the way we're going to do it, I'm going to show you. Now, most of you guys have seen this. I'm going to show it to you again. I've looked at it about 30 times. And every time I look at it, I'm really proud that Eric and I put it together for Stan Kaplan. Okay? But listen to what he says, and listen to how he says it, and then I'm going to talk to you about my bell. Because everything that they're talking about is on that bell. And it's called the Freedom Bell for a reason. That bell represents people who gave their life, people who gave their life in the act of service for this country. And the American flag that's on that bell represents this country, as he was talking about. And yet we have young people that are burning the flag and destroying their own colleges and beating police cars and robbing places and taking and completely destructive because they want to take away the police force. These people are crazy. These people are psychologically crazy. And the only way that we're going to do it is we're going to have to, I have the answer. I told Duncan, I said, Duncan, I got the answer. I can clean it up in 1 hour. Now how are you going to do that? I mean, don't you love it when somebody asks you a question, how are you going to do something? I said, here's the answer. Bobby, you go out and take a club and you start beating up a police car and you start hurting people and beating people with them. We're going to arrest you and we're going to put you in a holding place for not jail. But we don't want you to go to jail, Bobby. But we're going to put you in a holding place, and then 1 month later, we're going to bring you before a committee. And we're going to have videos of you, Bobby, and it shows that you're beating up police cars and you're hitting people and destroying and tearing up and destroying. And you walk in and then we're going to say, did you do that? Yes, I did. On that table is an envelope. Pick it up. Open it up and read it. You pick it up, you read it. It says, I, Bobby Pearson, have effectively this date, this moment, have been stripped of all of my titles, of all my rights as an American citizen, and now I am no longer an American citizen, and get them the hell out of America. Get them out of here. Let me tell you something. You would only have to do that to a few. And guess what would happen? Trump said you take down one more statue and you go to prison for 10 years. You just take one more down. Did you notice that no more statues came down? Did you know that God says if you spare the rod, you spoil the child? God's word says that if you go do something wrong, you have to pay the price and the penalty. The penalty is, if you do that, you lose your citizenship and you're out of here. And here's the good news. You can never come back again. If you just read God's word, he tells you that. You give up your rights when you are disrespectful to God's word and disobedient. And there are people out there who say, well, I've got my way of thinking. Well, you're taking away a man's right in the Constitution. I'm not talking about the Constitution. I'm talking about the rights of an individual person. So folks, listen to me. I want you to listen to this guy, Stan Kaplan. I'm backing and supporting. I'm going out tonight with him, and we're going to be there, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. I called him this morning. He was going to be here today. We were going to bring him in right after this. And he called me and he said, I've got 5 places I'm going to where they're having meetings with several hundreds and hundreds of people. And I said, you need to be there. And we're going to show you here, and then and I'm going to show you the belt, and then we're going to be done. Here we go. Ready?
Hello, my name is Stan Kaplan. I'm running for Congress in the 51st District because our country is going in the wrong direction. My opponent, far-left radical Sarah Jacobs, has voted with Joe Biden to give us runaway inflation. Voters in my district tell me that they are hurting because of the high prices for food, rent, and gas. They're forced to work extra hours. And retirees on fixed incomes, they can't even make ends meet. Crime in America is out of control. We need to fully fund the police and allow them to enforce the laws of our country. We need to fire prosecutors that won't prosecute. We need to get rid of no cash bail and make criminals accountable. Our southern border is out of control. 3 million, yes, 3 million illegal immigrants have entered our country since Joe Biden and Sarah Jacobs have been in office. These include terrorists, murderers, rapists, drug pushers, and pimps. They are killing over 100,000 American citizens each year with fentanyl. They're trafficking young children, and they're overrunning our schools and hospitals. Undeserving illegals need to be deported immediately. Our public schools are teaching un-American and inappropriate curriculum to our children. They should not be taught harmful gender ideology and be exposed to gender-changing surgeries. This must stop immediately. Our country is falling apart. As your congressman, I will provide new leadership to stand up for you, our American citizens, to stand up for what's right, and to stop the destructive policies that are ruining our country. For a complete list of my positions, please go to kaplanforcongress.com. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Jones. The gentleman that you just heard, Stan Kaplan, is running for Congress in our district. I want you to do me a favor. We need to get out to hundreds of thousands of people, and we need to do it right away. And the only way we can do that is if you help us. So here's what I want to ask you to do. We're sending this out. We're going to pick 10. I'm going to pick 10. We're going to send it out to 10 people. And then we're going to multiply by 10, by 10, by 10, by 10, 5 times. And we're going to cover the whole district. And if you send it out to your friends and people, say, I just listened to Stan Kaplan, and I believe in what he says, and I believe in what he says he will do. And I'm going to vote for him, and I want you to vote for him also. So I'm asking you to vote for Stan Kaplan for Congress. And let's get rid of the leadership that is destroying our country. We need people like Stan Kaplan in office. Men of God. Men who love the country. Men who love their families. And men that will go to Congress and do what they say they will do. So I'm asking you to send it out to 10. And let's get the 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, and let's get Stan elected. Thank you very much.
What do you think?
Looks like that was done here almost.
We did that right here.
It
Well, it
was.
looks almost like here.
It was right here. You guys are awfully quiet. There's only two things going on. You're either upset, you're mad, or you disagree with it. Any one of those three, it'll work if you wanted to. Go ahead.
I don't disagree with it, but it must have been done some time ago, because he said 3 million illegal aliens.
It's 4.5 now.
It's already, it's higher than that, it's almost like 4.9.
Yeah.
Almost 5 million.
This was done 2 weeks ago,
No, about a month.
about a month ago. We did it about a month ago. I sent it out to 80 people. I have about 900 people on my phone. So I went through and I picked it out, and I sent it out to about 70 to 80 people. I sent that message out to them. It's really easy to do. You just take it and tack it, and you put it on, you pick out the names, and you put send, and it goes out to them. Yes, sir.
A friend of mine, whose son is a registered Democrat, he got 2 ballots in the mail.
Yeah.
So how often does that happen?
That's what they do, guys. That's what they do.
How can you have 2 ballots if it's a computerized driven software that says enough? How can you have 2 of them?
Well, here's the way they do it. They say, you cheated. That's what their narrative is. If you cheated, it's you cheated. They've literally told themselves so many times a lie that they truly, honestly believe their lie. I'm gonna segue again. There's a satanic movement in this crazy country right now. There are individual people from other countries that are hell-bent on destroying the fibers and the governing values of this country that were so wonderfully put together by individual people who either gave their life or who gave their life in the service or gave up their life in death. So that you can sit here today and listen and have it. But we have an educational system that 75 to 80% of the professors in those colleges are men that are not even from our own country. They're men that were brought in from other countries to teach our kids. Those individual people, those professors are teaching our kids. And so what they do is they tell them just enough of the truth to get their attention, but then they sell them their own narrative of what they think, and they think it should be. And if you think this way, then you're wrong. Son, you're wrong. Right? We need to get their attention. Military guy comes back from the service across over the sea, where he was crawled on his stomach and took bullets, and et cetera, et cetera. And he said, I'm going to increase my education. So he goes to college, and he gets there, and he's in the classroom, and the professor's talking about America, and he's talking about what's wrong with it, and he's talking about all that very stuff. So the military guy, the guy says, if there is, and he said, the guy said, well, what about one nation under God? He said, there is no such thing as God. And the guy says, what are you talking about, no such? He said, well, I'll tell you what. If there is such a thing as God, why don't he just come down here, and why don't he just come right here, and why don't he just knock me on my butt? The old military boy gets up out of the seat. He walks up to him, and bam! Knocks him on his butt. The professor's lying there. He said, what in the world is your problem? He said, God was busy. He sent me. Do you understand? Do you understand? God sent you to do what's right for America. I don't want to take away people's rights. I don't want to take away a person's right to do what they want. But you have no right to destroy the fibers and that which people who gave their life for that. You have no right to do that. And if you do, and you burn the buildings, and you burn the houses, and you steal, and you rob, folks, listen to me. I'm not a racist person, and I'll put my hand on the Bible, so help me as God is my witness. I lived in Color Town when I was a young kid, and we had no money. The best friends I ever had were color guys. My mother used to say to me, Floyd, honey, there is no such thing as black people. We're all colored. We're just lighter than they are. My mother taught me things about racial. That in our country we don't teach our kids, we don't teach them the integrity and the character of what's right. We have a problem with races in this country, and it's not white people. Those places, if you look at the television, they won't tell you the truth of who's doing it, but you see it on the TV. 95% of all the break-in, enters and stealing and robbing and destroying is coming from colored people. I don't want to call those people colored. Those are black people. I worked in a meat packing house when I was a boy, and I carried beef, and I worked and I worked with colored guys, and I'm telling you, some of the most wonderful, unbelievable men on the face of this earth. Great, great men of God. Great, great men to work with. Fun to work with. Had a lot of fun with them. But I had some of those black guys, those colored guys would say to me when he saw a guy doing stuff, he said, "That's not a colored man, that's a nigger." That's what he said. "That's not a colored man, that's a nigger." That's what he called his own people. When I came from North Carolina, that was what was happening. Today, if you use that phrase, you could be arrested. And I'm not sure that I disagree with that. I don't think we should be throwing names and saying stuff out there like that. But what we have to do is we have to understand racism in this country is not coming from the white people, to the best of my knowledge. In my opinion, it's coming from those that are trying to separate the white from the color. Those people that are doing that are trying to set a narrative to accomplish. The Democratic Party is a party doing that right now, and they're trying to separate this country. And my suggestion to you, and I'll get off of this, but my suggestion to you is, please, if you have not voted, if you're in the 51st district, or if you're in the 48th district, wherever you are, you need to go vote. Folks, the only way that we can get them out of office is to vote them out of office. If you go to all the cities that are destroying and tearing it down and have destruction at the highest level, every single one of them are run by Democratic people. Go find me one. That's not, and I'll tell you, it's a Democrat leadership, a Democrat mayor, a Democrat governor, etc. We have some problems with leadership. Our system of government allows that to go based on our system. But it doesn't say that you go there and you get power and you destroy the integrity and the character of that Constitution. You abide by it. So, I'm done. If anybody has anything you'd like to say, just a minute, Richard, go ahead.
I think just an encouraging word. I don't know if any of you ever watch Huckabee on TV.
Yeah.
He usually, at the beginning of the show, he has some talking points, and then he usually has a politician of some sort, senator, a governor,
right,
congressman, whatever. In the last couple of weeks, he had a guy from Colorado who is a Republican, and the people there in his district love him so much. There's nobody running against him. So he's losing all his free time going around the country promoting various other Republicans. He also had just the other night a guy from Texas. And the question he asked both these guys, when you're talking about all these Republicans, you're trying to get in there, are you going to do the same thing you did before? We had a pact before and didn't do anything. Both of these guys, unrelated, on different shows, said, I think there's a different kind of Republican that's coming up. So I hope he is right. There's some different ones coming along.
Duncan Jr. Everybody, if you don't know what happened in the contributions that he got through his campaign and everything, I know Duncan D better than anybody in this room by 10 times. I worked with him teaching him golf when he was only 9 years old, so I know Duncan D. If I was going into war, I want him to have my back, because he's the guy that'll be there. I wouldn't have Nancy Pelosi, I wouldn't have Hillary Clinton, I wouldn't have Bill Clinton, I wouldn't have Barack Obama, I wouldn't have none of those, because they would turn and run the other direction. But when Duncan went into office, Duncan told them, well, Lord, I'm going to do exactly what I think I should do. I'm going to do what America wants me to do, and I'm there to serve the country. And they came after him with a vengeance. Hillary Clinton came up with $35,000. These are things you have no knowledge of. She came up with $35,000. She donated to the campaign, and the judge that was here in San Diego and the news media went after Duncan, and they literally went after him with a vengeance to take him out of office, to fill that space with a Democrat. That's what they did. Until they destroyed his family, got a divorce, spent every single dime, sold his house to protect himself, every dime, over $300,000 in legal fees. You understand, guys? These people will hurt you. They'll destroy you, and they will go and gather information, and if they don't have it, they're going to do. Trump said over 11 million pages of information, over 11 million, and they haven't found anything on him. And yet they go into his home and they rob it and they take everything. The president, a former president of the United States. These people are wicked, cruel, vicious people, and they have a narrative, and they're going to achieve it one way or the other. I told them 10 years ago, I said, get ready. There's going to be fighting in the streets of America. Because those men, like you and myself, I will fight for my freedom, I'll fight for my life, I'll fight for my home, I'll fight for my grandchildren, and I'll fight for this country. But there's a day when you just said, I'm not taking it anymore. Remember the guy years and years ago that stuck his head out the window in New York? And what did he say?
I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm madder than hell and I ain't taking it anymore.
Never.
When we get to the point that we're not going to allow these people to do that, then we will take our country back. And that's what it's going to have to take. But the trouble is, once you go into that mode, then you have a problem. You have a serious problem. We have a situation right now that we can take charge of it. We are in a position that can do it, and we can do it through your votes. So please, go vote. Them out of office, all of them. God bless you guys. Thank you for letting me talk. I know we've been a little serious. And okay, we're going to have a bidding, a little drawing here. All right.
Just for the trip to Hawaii?
You're the drawer. You're the drawer. What name have you got there?
I got Edwin. Eddie.
Who?
Edwin.
Edwin? Hey, Edwin. Hey, guys. God bless you. And, huh? Oh, he's back there. He's on the phone. So thanks for coming. I don't know why everybody had to be, but they're all sleeping. But I told them that today was going to be kind of a political day, and I want you to know that I appreciate you coming. And God bless. And if you have any questions, ask Eric.
They're out voting.
Huh?
They're out voting.